depression, crime, murder, rape and robbery, burglary,
carjacking,
scandal,
AIDS,
parents accused of almost beating their child to death,
aggressive begging,
a piece of Madonna's underwear,
promoting bands of neo-Nazis,
runny nose, watery eyes, congestion, and headache,
arthritis, tendonitis, backache, terrible pain, and depression.
ugly nails.
What's up, YouTube? Vinyl community. That's you. That's me. It's been a minute. It's been a bit longer than I wanted it to be between videos, but, you know, it is what it is. At least I'm being a little bit more consistent, right? Give me a little credit where it's due. Here to talk about music. Once again, high definition television. Eric B. It's me. Last time we talked about some local finds of recent times, picked up at brick and mortars, as well as a local record fair that occurred here a few weeks back. I actually met Mazzy and Harry's Record Room at said record store. In fact, I met Mazzy the day before at another local record shop, a bit out of my way, and I went down there because they also sell a lot of movies. And we were in the same line at the same time. Who'd have thunk? Super nice guy. Talked to him for a while outside the shop, and then again the next day at the record fair. Good times. So today, I don't really have. I mean, I guess I have kind of a theme. I was out at one of my locals. I talked about him last update. Hex Induction Records. Now, on top of selling a lot of rad used shit, they also sell a lot of good new shit and a lot of good new reissues. And this is one of them. I picked up a few weeks back, like a month ago, a little over a month ago. I don't know. Shit and Shine, their Ladybird LP. This is 2022 reissue on Riot Season. Right there. This had previously been released in 2004 on Latitude. If you're not familiar with Latitude, it's like, I don't know if it's a label. I didn't do any research. If it's a label or like a series of albums. A lot of different artists. I know that Latitudes has a Nadja release or two. I believe Mount Erie has a release on Latitudes, and this one did as well. I had never heard this project before. Two gentlemen here. This one likes Beagles. Here he is again. Beagle shirt, full effect. Of course, the name of the project caught my attention, Shit and Shine. And then I read the hype sticker. Ladybird, one perfect, heavy as fuck, hypnotic riff, played over and over and over and over across two sides of an LP. Back when Shit and Shine formed, the idea was basically to sound like their heroes, Drunks with Guns and Strangulated Beat-Offs. Using that same basic formula, a big, dumbass, catchy riff played over and over until the joke gets old, then keep going. That sold me right there. I was expecting some punishing noise rock in the vein of Drunks with Guns and Strangulated Beat-Offs. And Drunks with Guns became Strangulated Beat-Offs, it should be said. Both very noisy, very, for a lot of people, probably rough listens, but some great sounds. This record, literally one track, both sides, and it is literally the same riff over and over and over again. It's not drone like, say, Sun or Earth. There's an actual riff. It's catchy. It's heavy as fuck, just like the hype sticker says. The vocals that go over it are fucking just killer. The beats, just pummeling, punishing. This record is awesome. Like I said, it's 2022 reissue. If my description and that hype sticker sell you on it, I'm pretty sure it's not super hard to find. It did not come with any, I repeat, any extras, no inserts, nothing. Just vinyl. You've got the duo on one side of the label, on the other side of the label. Killer album. And I listened to this, I spun this a lot. I believe I picked this up prior to the hospital. And when I got back from the hospital, like the only two records I spun with much consistency for probably like the next week, maybe 2 weeks, was this record and Gorilla Biscuits. But this record basically caused me to pull out a bunch of shit of this ilk to listen to, which I want to kind of go through. I mean, we've got like, you know, obvious shit, of course, Unsane, Total Destruction. This is a reissue on Matador. I mean, you know, legends right here. This record, just brutality incarnate. It sounds like the artwork. Just a fucking killer, mandatory release if you're into this type of shit. I like my noise rock. Real fucking caveman-y. Is that a word? Sludgy. Unrelenting. Dirty. Of course, we've also got Laughing Hyenas with their You Can't Pray Alive. First of all, I've always loved that cover artwork. Just killer. This is a reissue on Third Man. And I believe it came out 2018. You got some a nice insert with some notes from storied artists such as Ian MacKaye, however you want to say the dude's name, from Minor Threat, Fugazi, Discord Records. Brian Turner, another legend. Jay Mascis, I mean, basically penning their thoughts on the Laughing Hyenas. Of course, you've got the band. You've got Larissa on guitar. She was fucking great. She is basically, I want to say, the driving force initially behind Laughing Hyenas. She came from a band called L7 out of the Detroit area, not L7 from the Bay Area / Seattle. L-7 the word as opposed to L7 the number. You got flyers for shows that the Laughing Hyenas played. Several with Sonic Youth, Fugazi, Die Cruisin', Killdozer. Oh man, killer shows. Would have loved to have been at any of those. Also features John Brannon of Negative Approach. And between the guitar playing from Larissa, I mean, honestly, this is a whole band project. Not any one person involved in this is really any more important than any other person involved in this project. But Brandon's vocals are just off the wall, unhinged, vile, evil sounding fucking vocals, just spewing out of his throat, vomited forth. It's such a rad record. Mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. And of course, I mean, you saw the color, right? You know what it is. Songs about fucking, Big Black, Chicago stalwarts, Steve Albini. I mean, Steve Albini had his hand in, I don't know, a bunch of the shit we're going to talk about, we're going to look at here. Killer record. Often gets labeled as punk, which, I mean, I guess I can see it, but it's more just fucking off the rails rock and roll with industrial, like clamoring industrial elements. Just a rad record. I don't know if this is my favorite Big Black material. I really like the Racer X EP, which I pulled as well, but it's not currently within reach. Just great shit. So this is kind of the stuff that, like, I was reminded of. What else we got that we can kind of compare? I mean, another mandatory history lesson right here. Butthole Surfers, Psychic, Powerless, Another Man's Sack. Touch and Go Records. 1984. Earlier than that, Big Black. Laughing Hyenas was like 1989. And the Unsane, I think 89, 90 as well. That's another thing you're going to be seeing. Touch and Go. That Big Black was Touch and Go. It's Butthole Surfers is Touch and Go. Killer Release, just noisy as fuck. Just an insane psychedelic punk with so much noise going into this recording. It's almost, I mean, like I said, a lot of people would hear this and not even call it music. It's so good. What else? What else do we pull? Jesus. I mean, here's another obvious one. Tape. Another obvious tape. Helmet. With fucking Strap It On. This is the Interscope version. Also in part released by Atlantic and Amphetamine Reptile. This is my favorite helmet material right here. I kind of fall off the helmet train after Betty, but this one, absolutely mandatory. Just raging, guitar-driven. I almost said arrhythmic, but it's like got this rhythm that's like disjointed. It's jarring. This stuff is just it's like a whirlwind of rage. Listening to this record, youthful angst and frustration in the form of highly distorted, angular, pissed off rock music. It rules. Another tape. Why not? Another mandatory, obvious pick. Melvin's Houdini. Original cassette on Atlantic in the yellow shell. This is my favorite Melvins. I know a lot of people kind of point to either like the later Ipecac shit or like the earlier Boner Records stuff or the Alchemy Records stuff, which is all good. But this record and Bullhead are like the two Melvins releases I can't live without. This album is not. It's also the first Melvins I ever heard when it was released back in 1993. Of course, Kurt Cobain had his hand in producing this record. Even plays guitar on various tracks. That ended kind of badly for the relationship of Kurt Cobain and the Melvins. Steve Albini, again. Or wait, no, not Steve Albini. Billy Anderson, actually, which I had forgotten about how much he had to do with this record. And he's involved in almost every track on this album. He, of course, has produced Neurosis, I want to say. I think he even produced a fucking a Primordial record out of, where are they from? Ireland, Scotland? UK, British Isles, somewhere. Anyway, Melvins, Houdini, fucking rules. Necessary. Absolutely. Love it. Here's another record that I've never seen anyone talk about. God in Texas. One of the things I really love about this particular type of subversive music, subversive rock, the album Criminal Element, is its use of lurid imagery. It's just like pulpy iconography. It's like these guys were reading trashy pulp horror and crime fiction coming out of the 50s, the 40s and the 50s, and putting a more depraved and demented oral representation of what they were reading to tape. And you get bands like God in Texas. This record's awesome. I believe these guys were from, oh man, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Minnesota. This came out in 93. It's hard to really describe a lot of these because while they kind of occupy the same space, they all sound so individually kind of unique that, I mean, at least to people with an ear for it, I suppose, that it's hard to just lump them in one, under one umbrella. It's just super dissonant, again, highly distorted. It's not fast. It's not real sped up. It is driving. It is very fuzzed out, very heavy rock music. It's just killer. God in Texas. Absolute recommendation from me. Yours truly. This is another one. This is a personal favorite of mine for sure. On Alternative Tentacles, Zenny Jiva with Desire for Agony. Oh man, this record. This is almost a death metal record in its embracing of guttural extremes. Except it's not a death metal record. Features, of course, most famously KK Null, who is often compared to the likes of Murs Bow. So many projects, it's impossible to recount all of them. Most of them are great. That's him. This album is just punishing. Absolutely, like, terrorizing, dissonant music. Love that it was released by Alternative Tentacles, making it available in the US. I don't remember who put it out in Japan. I believe it was not released by AT in Japan. I could be wrong. Of course, you've got lyrics in kanji. This album is a phenomenal. Every track is heavy as fuck and an absolute banger. Specifically, Dead Sun Rising, love it. Another favorite, Heathen Blood. Love Bite, another favorite. This record just fucking smokes. Rad label on the one side. Of course, you've got the Alternative Tentacles label on the other side. Not an easy record to come by these days. But it's out there. They had a couple others that were picked up by Alternative Tentacles, who I think were really probably just licensing them for the United States. Rad. Just absolutely killer. Again, totally mandatory. I know, I'm re-sleeving, so sue me. Love this shit. You can talk about it for hours and hours. Speaking of pulp, and just like excess and trash and exploitation, Hammerhead, with their first full-length Ethereal Killer. I have got a corner cut promo. There's the cover art. You've got the lady hitchhiking and the shady driver there. Just a rad album. Amphetamine Reptile, along with Touch and Go, like one of the premier labels for releasing this type of noise and dreck. It's killer. Hammerhead, a little bit more like on the post-hardcore side, so not so bludgeoning, not so punishing. Still heavy as hell. Still real, just lurid. Awesome stuff. I mean, the first track on the album is titled American Rampage. That doesn't kind of summarize the themes that these guys play around with on this record. I don't know what will. The second record kind of evokes more of like a trashy sci-fi sort of feel. Kind of along the lines of like a Man or Astro Man, but with more heft, more sludge, more distortion, less surf. This is just rad though. Fucking ethereal killer, Hammerhead. There's another Steve Albini production. Is that right? Or Butch Vig? Jesus. So many people like Butch Vig, Steve Albini, Billy Anderson, Butch Vig. This from what, if you read about this record, in theory, people say this is the record that made Kurt Cobain want Butch Vig to produce Nirvana. And that's 12-Point Buck by Killdozer. One of my all-time favorites of this type of music. This record is just, it's deranged and depraved in the best way. It is sludgy. One of the things I think is that cracks me up about this album now. It didn't so much when I first heard it because I didn't have the point of reference to go back to. If you watch or are familiar with Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the mad scientist who created Frylock, Master Shake, Meatwad, his voice sounds like a spitting image of the vocalist for Killdozer, at least on this record. It's almost, he almost does his vocals as if he's doing spoken word. That's like his cadence. He's got such a like a heavy drawl, and it suits the music on the record. It's just like this dirty mixture of blues and rock and just heavy, filthy sludge. It's just great, and it's the lyrics are just gross in a lot of regards, like New Pants and Shirt. Read along with that one if you choose to listen to it. Great other tracks. Gates of Heaven is another amazing cut. It's the first track on the B-side. Space 1999, Man vs. Nature, Free Love in Amsterdam. This album, front to back, absolute banger. It actually killed, well, it was playing when my old speakers died about a month ago, give or take. Love that cover art. Would really be stoked to find this on LP. Killdozer, 12-Point Buck, another essential, mandatory masterpiece. Ooh, we're getting to some heavy hitters here towards the end. I know we're at over 20 minutes at this point, and I thank you for sticking with me. Hopefully worth it for you. I love talking about this shit. Clearly, I have some passion for this stuff. This album, just phenomenal. Terrific. Terrific. Distorted Pony. Just look at that. This was released by Bump Records. Punishment Room. This is the back. I know, Bump Records. It's such a weird label to put out a record like this. This is a band. They go back to like, they're from Southern California. I want to say LA maybe, but it might be Sacramento. I could be wrong. Chris Mabuhay Ka might be able to correct me on that if I'm wrong. This album is just killer. Get the insert. Love that artwork. I mean, that artwork pretty much embodies what you're going to hear on this record. You've got lyrics. They're all demented. I'm not going to read any of these because they're kind of gross in some aspects. Like this topically has a lot of the same sort of vibes as like Brain Bombs. And I didn't pull any of the Brain Bombs stuff. I should have, because shit's fucking gnarly. So I'm gonna get that out once this video's over. Probably spin a Brain Bombs record. Label, nothing real exciting. Just awesome. Again, super pulpy, super lurid, depraved, fucking noise rock of like the highest caliber as far as American noise rock goes. There's only a few other albums that I kind of put above this one, in terms of like the real like more obscure shit, not talking about like the Cows or More Helmet or Amphetamine Reptile, for instance, or even some of the more known touch and go bands. At any rate, absolutely stellar. Now finding an OG on wax of this, huge grail for me, and that would be the first Boss Hog full length with Cold Hands. First of all, I mean, that you probably see that cover and you think that doesn't look like a noise rock record. Well, it doesn't really, but this came out in 1990 on Amphetamine Reptile, again, featuring basically the bulk of Pussy Galore, the John Spencer project, who would go on to be John Spencer Blues Explosion. Him and his wife, Christina Martinez. There's the band, minus Christina. This album is gnarly. If you're familiar with the John Spencer Blues Explosion, I don't want you to think that because you know what they sound like, you know what this sounds like. This is a far more deranged record than this cover would lead you to believe. It's like blues punk noise. It's just this stellar evocation of smoky airport bars with like filled with serial killers and criminals, drug dealers, and like porn magnates. It's that kind of vibe. It's just rad. This album is killer. A lot of people I've read have problems with the continuity of this record because there's a lot of interludes, but I think the interludes make the record. That said, the last record we're going to talk about today, Pain Teens. And this is one of my all-time favorites of this particular style of rock and roll, punk rock, heavy music, subversive sludge, whatever you want to call it, industrial terror, Born in Blood. Put out by Trance Records, Pain Teens were a Texas band, fronted by Bliss Blood, who also did stuff with like Exit 13 later on in the 90s. They did like a jokey like lounge record, easy listening jazz lounge record. Trance Syndicate was a label owned by one of the Butthole Surfers, run by him at least. A lot of stuff really great put out by Trance. Pain Teens being one of them, Cherubs being another one, another Texas band there. I mean, look at that cover art. That is what this record sounds like. This album is a lot more industrial than pretty much anything we've already looked at tonight, except for maybe The Big Black. This album just is killer. Got the Trance label there, and then of course the red Born in Blood label there. I mean, what to say about this record? It is sludgy, punishing, but often also ethereal music. Look at these. Look at these shirts. These are not easy to find, especially this one. I'd love a boot of this shirt. Does one exist? I haven't been able to find it. This album is just a festival of depravity and rage. But it's also measured and purposeful and very, very controlled. These guys were tight as fuck. They knew what they were trying to put out, and they knew how to put it down in the studio. Just a rad record. Every track on here is just fantastic. Just this grimy dirge of an album. Stellar. That's it. That's what I've got. So, hopefully I motivated you to check into some of this stuff if you're not familiar with it already. It's all killer, if I'm being honest. I might be a little biased there, but I don't know. Just rad shit, regardless. That said, I'm gonna go fucking get some of this gym grime off. I just got back from the gym, had my dinner. Wanted to bust this out because it was on the top of my mind. That done. Take care of yourselves, YouTube. I really appreciate you coming back to the channel, video after video, engaging me in the comments down below. I love the convos that get going. You got something to say? I'm going to respond. That's just how my brain works. I like to say I'm one of those people that the dialogue with all of you people watching is really what keeps me coming back to doing these videos. I mean, yes, I enjoy doing them. I wouldn't be here sitting down right now in front of this camera if I didn't. But I think it's also kind of disingenuous to just ignore what you might have to say about what I just spent 30 minutes talking about. That out of the way, don't be shitty, YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.